Evening folks, and welcome to the next instalment of the ROVER SD1 restoration. So tonight we're going to look at some more welding. Again, this is a retrospective video where I'm just going to do a voiceover of some of the repairs I've done. In particular, we're going to take a look at the rear suspension arm mount areas on the left and the right. I've done quite a bit of welding on those. In quite a sorry state when I got the car. So also, it's worth mentioning, I'm currently working on an actual live welding video of the SD1. I'm working on the front wings, cutting the arch lips out, so it'll be good to see an actual live video for once on the Rover. And also, hopefully I have fixed the issue with the audio. We should be getting it in stereo now instead of mono, so that was my fault, that one. So hopefully it'll be fixed for this and it'll be a little bit more pleasant to listen to. So hope you all enjoy the video. Okay, so what we're going to look at tonight is the repairs to the rear where the suspension arms mount. So these were a bit of a mess. So starting on the driver's side, this was roughly what it looked like without any work done or any digging. Obviously you can see there's been a bit of under sealing and things going on in there, and that's just to the view a little bit further back, just closer to the back wheel. A little bit of corrosion coming through, so you know on the face of it, it doesn't look particularly bad. So this one here, this is when I started digging in a little bit just with the wire wheel, just under that strengthening plate there. You can see there's been some previous welding done. At some point just a little patch welded in, and then where it meets the outer sill it's kind of rotted through again. Now this was after I removed the arm. Then the mount itself, you know where the captive nuts are, again doesn't look too bad. So what I decided to do at this point was cut into the outer sill, because I didn't really know what structure there was at the back that helped secure that suspension arm. I presumed there would be another plate, some kind of thicker plate at the back of that, and the rear end of that sill was in pretty bad condition anyway. So yeah, so I just cut that out, as you can see, to get a bit of access, and this was the view from the other side. So you could see actually the corrosion had crept quite far up on that panel. That's it there, just with the lip removed where the outer sill was spot welded on. And that's us back onto the inside view again. A bit more cleaning up there with the wire wheel. You can see exposing some of the old welding. I think there's been several little patches put in there, over the years. That's it zoomed out a little bit, so the metal is quite badly corroded. You can see it's eaten in right the way along to the right of those mounting points, and right the way along the bottom it was actually starting to split apart. So I think in this kind of situation I always prefer just to cut out as much as I can and start again, especially if it's either structural or it's securing suspension mounts. So this is just further back to the rear again. There's previously been a few plates put in there. You can see just patched along the bottom. It was kind of difficult to see what the original shape was actually meant to be. Right, so here we started the cutting out process. I decided to kind of take this a little bit at a time rather than just going in and cutting the whole lot out, because I didn't really have a template, and the other side, as you will see shortly, is actually quite a bit worse. So I didn't really have anything to go by for what this should look like. So yeah, we started at the front, cut that out there, and the same, I wanted to just leave, for the time being, certainly leave those mount points in and the strengthening plate at the back in. It transpires, that actually wasn't too bad, that central section, but the bits that were cut out, they had just thinned down really, really badly. Here's another view there, see a wee bit closer what I'm doing. So this is quite a good picture, this one actually. You've got a really good view of what's going on from the outer sill angle. And you can see a bit of the structure. You can also see how the car is constructed. You know, you've got that central plate there that strengthens the mounts for the suspension. And then to the right you can see where, you'd probably say that's inner sill, meets that section that runs right the way back. So it's quite interesting how they've actually made it. A bit of a close-up there just on the previous welding. So yeah, again, it was a case of looking at both sides and just seeing how far the corrosion went up and cutting out accordingly. So yeah, that had a couple inches cut out that bit right at the front edge. You can see that bit clearer there again. So I decided to take one of the mounting points out. By the time I'd taken the plate to the right out, it was quite thinned on the corner, you know, the little plate that had been welded in. So that obviously corroded away a good few years ago when it was on the road. So looking at this one here, I actually decided to cut that second mount point out. That was where that small repair plate that had been previously welded in, that was welded onto that, and the metal was pretty thin, so I decided I wanted to take that out just to be on the safe side. Just making a little measurement in this picture, exactly how far up from the bottom the centre of that hole is. And this here, right, so a good bit of progress actually made on this shot. So again, this is from the sill side looking inwards. So what I've done is plate along the inside, left the majority of that strengthened plate in, and then just fabricated up a very small repair section with thicker metal for that second mount point, and then welded that to the front. The rest of that strengthened point, I cleaned that up and I just treated that with some rust converter, just the built hammer solution that I've been using on the rest of the car. So it's starting to take shape, you know, it's following the original design as best I can, and it's certainly getting a bit of strength back in it. And this is it from the other view. You know, this angle doesn't really do it any favours looking at it. There was quite a bit of hammering and manipulation involved to try and get that metal shaped in situ. But you know, we did get there in the end with it. It was quite thick steel I was doing, so it was difficult to shape it. So this is where I left the welding on the driver's side. I decided to go no further until I'd done the same repair on the passenger side. And that bit to the right that you can see, that remained unwelded because I was going to cut into a lot of that and replace that when I was doing the inner arch on the back. Okay, so moving on to the worst side, the passenger side. I think before you even take the arm off, it's pretty obvious what's going on there. There's a lot of seam sealer in there. You could see that peeling away, under seal, and a lot of cracks in the metal, and everything was just splitting apart on that bottom seam there. So I knew I was going to have my work cut out with that one. A close up there, just in front of that arm, you can see it's holed right the way through. That's it with the arm removed. So yeah, I mean, without any real digging in, you know, you can just see daylight through there. So this was a bit of a concern, this one. I was trying to be as careful as possible when I was unpiecing it, because I needed to keep those mounting points in the exact same position. I think, you know, if I was doing this in a rotisserie or doing it again, I would maybe do things a little bit differently, but yeah, this is what I was working with outside at the time. Once a close-up on it there, you can see a previous plate, just the outline of that being tacked over the top, which isn't great. Looking further back, again, you can see that plate that was tacked in by somebody. It's just covering up a whole load more corrosion. It wasn't really doing any benefit, I think, to the structure of the car. And that's it from the angle right from the back. You can see where that's pieced into the inner arch there. That's just the front section. So yeah, the holes kind of just continued forward from that strengthening plate in there. So same approach as the driver's side, just cut into that sill, give myself plenty of access to get in there and see how far the corrosion goes up, and you can see it there yourself. That is a lot more progressed than the other side. Close up there. Now, this one, you can actually see this is where the repairs are starting. So I started at the front and cut in the plate that attaches to the one that runs, I don't even know what you would call that, the one that runs in front of the chassis mount. So yeah, seam welded that in, some plug welds in there along the centre onto that strengthening bar. For the time being, I just kept those mounting points in on the strengthening plate on the outermost part. I ran then a second plate, you know, from left to right there. You can kind of see it, and again, same as the other side, try to shape that as best as possible. It's kind of hard to explain when you're not got the camera live moving around the repair itself. It's kind of tricky, but I mean, you get a bit of an idea, I think. So that's the next stage, was cutting out that mounting point. I'd marked up the positions on the plate that I'd already put in, so I knew exactly where they had to go. There was no point in leaving that in, there was just no strength in that at all. And this is it. I mean, it looks quite a spectacular plate from the other side. It's a mixture of seam welding and plug welds I've done to join that strengthened plate up to the other one. I think that's possibly similar to how they actually done it from the factory, maybe not in the exact same positions. I've probably put a hell of a lot more in than they did, but it certainly isn't going to be going anywhere in a hurry. And then that was with the holes drilled through, the captive nuts then welded on, and a layer of zinc primer. And you can see there I've intentionally left just some of those repair panels long, so you know I can trim them down when I was refitting the sill. I just wanted to give myself plenty of metal to play with on that, but you know, huge difference you can see. That's a view from the inside. I mean, proper patchwork quilt effort on the inside there, but there was a lot of welding and a lot of plates to try and make those shapes up. It would have been nice if I did have some repair panels. It would have certainly made life a hell of a lot easier and the repairs a hell of a lot faster, but I think we got there in the end with it. And that's the same view from the inside with it painted with zinc primer. So I hope everybody found that latest instalment interesting. So if you were considering an SD1 that needs repairs to those sections, you know roughly what's going to be involved. There is quite a lot of work. So if you did like it, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next instalment.